Welcome to Get a Clue Casual Gamer, where we get a clue, CLUE, about a game, or continue my list of 100 games. My favorite 100 games. Today we're breaking into the top 50. So today we're going to be looking at 41 to 50. And the truth is, as much as I love 51 to 100, the more I look at the top 50, I understand why I had to move some others. I love all of them, but I just have a little bit more love for those that are coming up. So let's get a clue. Let's get started with my number 50. Number 50 is, I'm going to call it a modern classic two-player game. My cousin Doug taught it to me, and I fell in love with it and had to have my own copy. And I have played it several times, and it's Jaipur. Jaipur is a great casual level two-player game, very easy to pick up and learn quickly. First time out, by the end of the game, you will know all that there is to know about it, and then you can start implementing what you've just learned. Basically, it's set collection and hand management, drafting, card drafting, and buying. What you do is you draft cards from those on display. You draft them to your hand, and then you collect same color cards until you're ready to sell them. And you can sell them, most of the colors you can sell even just one, but some of the higher end ones you have to have at least two to sell. The colors are, yellow, red, blue, green, brown. There's gold and silver and ruby. It's expensive or cheap commodities, and so like the back shows, it's like you collect, you pick up cards, you combine them, and then you sell them for points. But again, if you sell them before someone else in that color, if you sell those colors first, the tokens are worth more at the top of the pile, and as they go down the pile, they become worth less and less. And if you sell 3, 4, or 5, you actually get an extra token. This one is for selling 3. You got 3 of these and a token with 3. And on the back of that is a point, an amount of points. You don't know how many, and those are mixed in together, because anybody can sell 3 of anything and get a 3 token. So yeah, it's an easy card game. In fact, I was looking at these 41 to 50, and there's a lot of smaller games in this section. There's a few large games, but there's quite a few smaller games, and I love Jaipur, a great two-player game. My number 50, and last year it was my number 27. But again, there's so many new games that went into the list that it really moved things around a lot. It's still in my top 50, so it's a great game. Number 49, I'm picking from the wrong pile. 49, this pile over here, is a small card game, really pretty, by Calliope Games, and it's called Enchanted Plumes. And really what you're doing is creating a or several peacocks. The cards have colors and numbers, what they're worth in points. But every time you start a new peacock tail, the first row you create are negative points. So you're trying to get the zeros and ones and maybe a 2 in there because it's going to be a negative. After that, they are positive points, and that's what you want to do. But you have to create the full first row before you go on to the next row. So you could just do one with 3, but the next one will have to be 2, and then 1, and then you're done. So you wouldn't have a lot of chance to make up the points you're subtracting. So you kind of want to have a little bit wider tail. Also, whatever colors you use in the first row, the second row has to have their color has to be in that first row. And in this row, the color has to be in the previous row. And if you continue on down, it's like it always has to be. So you have to keep in mind what you have in your hand and what you should place down to create a beautiful peacock. And then when you get down to the one location, you flip a card over, any card, and that gives you the head of the peacock. And that's what we're doing. We're making using enchanted plumes to create peacock tails. And that is my number 49, enchanted plumes. It was new to me this year, so I do not have any reference number from last year. Number 48 is one I've had for probably close to 3 years, and it was one of my first roll and writes. I love playing it because it's simple, and a solo version plays just the same as multi, except that it's just one person and you're trying to get your best score, and that's Deadly Doodles. Deadly Doodles is a draw and write, it's a flip and write, but you draw a card and you draw a path. It's kind of like a dungeon crawl, and everyone will have the same board, and it's a wipe off board, and there's a dragon in the middle, and there's several places that have some bags of coins, but there's also monsters and axes to kill monsters. But the axes are labeled A, B, C, D, E. The monsters are labeled A, B, C, D, E, and only the A axe will kill the A monster. You don't want to be stuck with a monster and nothing to kill it with. So, because then they become negative points. You want to try and get the axe first to make sure that you can kill the monster when you get to the monster. But you also want to get to those money bags, and you want to get to the dragon, because if you get to the dragon, then all the money bags you collect are doubled. So you're just flipping cards and drawing what's on the card. This is an example of 4 cards. Everyone follows the same 4 cards. You lay out 4 cards, and everyone will say, "Okay, I'm gonna go in this door and do a straight line, and then I'm going to do a T to go this direction, and then while somebody else says, I'm going to go in this door and go for it." So everyone is doing their own little thing, and you do those 4, and then once that's done, then you do another round, and I think there's 7 rounds altogether. I'm pretty sure it's 7 rounds altogether. And at the end, whoever has the highest score wins. That is Deadly Doodles. I I really like this game, and it's really easy to play solo. Really easy. I can relax and play it. And that was my number 48. Last year it was my number 32. My number 47. Okay, we got a heavy one here. I have mentioned many times how I fell in love with Clue when I was 9 years old, and that's when I realized how much I love playing games. So I was curious when I heard people talking about this next game, and finally, it took me about a year to get it, maybe even a year and a half, but at least a year to find it and to get it. And it's my number 47 this year. Last year was my 55. And the game is very beige. And the characters in it are pretty ugly. Very, I mean, plain would be a nice way of describing them. And it's the game Awkward Guests. Awkward Guests, there you have them. In this game, you're trying to figure out who killed Mr. Walton. We all know it was Mr. Walton, and I believe he was in his study at the time. So we know where he was, but we need to figure out who did it, with what, and why. And we have hidden information cards, similar to Clue, that you'll have certain cards. And there'll be some information like the maid saw no one walk through the kitchen. So anyone who is in a room where they couldn't get to the study unless they went through the kitchen, then you know they couldn't be the killer. Things like that. You know, but it's holy cow, very card heavy. Every game has a specific it's not like Clue where you just take out a card of the people and a card of the weapon, a card of the room, and put them in an envelope. No. There are 243 cards in here. And dependent on which scenario you choose, the instruction book will tell you which cards to pull out for that particular game. Yeah. And then once you think you know the answer, you look it up in the book and it'll tell you what the answer is. If you were right, you win. If you were wrong, the game continues. But yeah, you have a little screen. It gives you screens to write behind, unlike Clue that you're always trying to find a book or something to hide what you're doing. No, it gives you it. I'll turn it around a little bit. Like I say, it's very beige, so you're not going to see much. But there it is. This is the paper you work with. And it's just cards and screens, and you try and figure it out. So that is my number 47, Awkward Guests. My number 46 is another larger game. I have the Target exclusive version of it, which is a little bit different. The box is thinner, but it still plays really good. And most recently, those in Canada have been finding this particular version of this game at Dollarama for $5. Just giving you the heads up. If you're in Canada and have access to a Dollarama, you should go and check and see if they have Downforce. Downforce is my number 46. It is a car race. You open up the board and there's your racetrack. And there's a different racetrack on each side. And you'll be You'll have cars. You'll be trying to figure out at certain points in the road, every yellow line, you're going to be deciding who you think is going to come in first and things like that. And at the end, depending on if you owned the car, you get points if they came in first, second, third. If you thought that they were going to win at different intervals, you get points. And so it's basically a car race, but using cards. You will have a handful of cards and choose a card, and every color on that card will have how far they move, and every time you put down a card, it's going to move a bunch of cards. Here, this one moves the black, the blue, and the red. This one moves the yellow, the blue, the red, the green, the black, and the orange. That's all the cars. I think there's only 6 cars. So this one moves them all, but different amounts, different distances. One might end up in a bottleneck and not be able to move forward as many as they should be able to. That's the way you play. You figure it out. Let me turn it right side up. You figure out the best route, the best card to put down at the best time to get your car passing first place, second place, third place. And that is downforce. Last year, this was my 66, and it's gone up to 46 now. That's quite a jump up. But I like the racing games, and it's not by a roll of the dice. It's by the cards that each player plays on their turn. That was number 46. Now 45 is a very small box, and it's very hard to explain this game, and it's very hard to get people to play it because it's hard to explain it. It's a cooperative game called Fallen Angels. Fallen Angels is basically you are trying to I'll just read what it says in the back because it'll probably describe it better than I could. Sydney, Australia in the 1920s is rife with crime, sly grog, prostitution, cocaine, theft, and fraud. Razor gangs rule the streets. But you, the police, have not been idle. The holding cells are overflowing, and now you must work as a team to bring together the evidence needed to convict each suspect. Fallen Angels poses a unique deduction challenge, illustrated with real suspects photographed in Jazz-Age Sydney. It contains 54 poker-sized cards, rules, and background information booklet. That is one of the mugshots. Every card is a different mugshot, and it tells you what they were arrested for. The final goal is to get them arrested, enough to arrest them. Enough evidence to arrest them. Now, to get the evidence is the deduction part, because you will have a certain number of cards in your hand, and they will have little symbols in the corner. I'll just grab one just to show you. Okay, give me a card. Any card, people. Okay, here we go. Okay. Okay. This is side 1. It has a razor blade. Okay. On the other side of this card, when you're looking at that razor blade, everyone else is seeing a razor blade and a magnifying glass. What you're trying to do is figure out what it is. Now, of course, in this case, they're going to show a bunch of stuff that they can see the 2 things. So maybe we go to 2. Now you're looking at a fingerprint and not an affidavit. Well, yeah, somebody has signed a whatever, accusing them, whatever, eyewitness, that kind of thing. Okay, so you're looking at those two things, but the only one of them is on the other side. You can see it. I only know that it's one of these two things. I have to guess which one it is. How do I guess it? Because everyone else is going to look at that, look at what they see, and they're going to put all of the cards that they have that pattern on and show it to you, except what they could be showing. Some of you will be showing this, some will be showing something like this, or yeah, it and another thing, and you've got to figure out what symbol is on the back side of your card. Yeah, I told you, it's hard to describe, but it's really not a hard game. It might not be easy to win, but it's not hard to play. And it's fun. It's a deduction game. I love deduction games. Hence, this is my number 45, Fallen Angels. I gotta speed up because, I'm already at 21 minutes. Okay, so number 44 is my last big box. I've done a video on this one. It is a Queen Games, and let me just heave it up here. It's Old London Bridge. I've done a whole video on this. I know I have, because it wasn't that long ago, a few months ago, maybe a couple months ago. This is not necessarily a deduction game or a pattern building game per se. What you're doing is you have several tracks on the board. There's a track over here. There's a track over here. You have this rondel of choices. But what you're doing is you're picking out one of these buildings to put into your London Bridge. And if it happens to be the building that has to do with this, you get to do something else there and go up that track. So it's a balance of the two. You have cards that have values on it, and everyone secretly chooses one of their cards, and you flip them over, and whoever's highest gets first choice, and on and on. It's simple. It's not that hard, and it's beautiful. It's big, and if you want to know more about it, Old London Bridge, I have a whole video just on it. I invite you to find it, and it is my number 44, and it's new this year to me. I had not played it until I was at Dice Tower Retreat last September, and that's where I got Old London Bridge. My number 43 is another Roll and Write, second one in this in this 10 number list. It's the Isle of Cats Explore and Draw. Now, I do not have the Isle of Cats, and I have not played Isle of Cats. And for those who don't know this, there is a game called Isle of Cats. But I like Roll and Writes, and there was a really good deal on this one, so I figured, hey, let me try that one, and then maybe I don't really need Isle of Cats if this scratches my itch. Basically, your board or your paper is this, and it's really a flip and write. Actually, both of these have been flip and writes. You flip a card, it has the polyomino shape, and in a certain color, and you will write it someplace in here. It represents a cat. And you're trying to make certain groupings, you're trying to fill certain rooms or parts of the ship, and the person who does the best at it wins. It's really that simple. But it's puzzly, because this is a game where you're pattern building. You're trying to fill in all the spots with these unusually shaped pieces. You're drawing those pieces in those colors. They are specific colors. You get markers in those colors. So yeah, it's something that that really does, for me, scratch that itch when it comes to the game Isle of Cats. I'm okay with just having this and not getting that. I have games like Calico if I want a cat game. I have the card game from, I think, the last 10 number, Cat Lady. So it's like if I wanted a cat theme, I have those. I have this. So I have a card game. I have a actual board game, and I have a roll and write or flip and write, all to do with cats. I think I'm okay. So, but Explore and Draw is my number 43, and it was new to me this year because it came out in 2022. So I couldn't have had it before then. I'm going to put this over here. Okay, my number 42. It was new to me this year, which is surprising. Maybe I owned it and I hadn't had a chance to play it yet. It is in a family of games by Pencil First. Pencil First has done Herbaceous and Floriferous and Sunset Over Water, and right now they've come out with a flip and write, I think it is. Maybe a roll and write, but I think it's a flip and write, called Delicious. So I'm curious to get that. I have Herbaceous, Floriferous, and Sunset Over Water. But Herbaceous is recognized as the simplest of all of those games. And Herbaceous is really a card game, mainly card game. Love the artwork. Who is one of the artists? Beth Sobel. Name keeps on showing up every now and then. Everyone has the same 4 goals. And so what you're trying to do is collect the right kind of plants to fulfill these goals the highest you can. Because the more sets that follow their wishes, the higher points you will get. So do you push your luck a little bit and wait and see if the other person you're playing with steals the card or takes the card that you were hoping to wait until the next turn for? Oh, I should have gotten it this time. Now what am I going to do? That kind of game. It plays, I believe, 1 to 4. It does have a solo mode. I do like my games that have solo modes, which is why it's high enough, because I can play it solo. Deadly Doodles, I can play it solo. Downforce, I can play it solo. Enchanted Plumes, let's see. Isle of Cats, I can play solo. There's several I can't play solo, but this is one that I can. And like I say, it is considered, and it is, the simplest of the different Pencil First small box games. And they're all this size. And this is Herbaceous, my number 42. And my number 41, way down here, is another game by Calliope. Enchanted Plumes was by Calliope. Beautiful cards. Those, creating the peacock tail. But this one is a Christmas themed one called 12 Days. One of my favorite Christmas themed games. So pretty. And basically, when it comes to the cards themselves, they're gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm telling you. But there are, if I remember correctly, there are like 12 12s, 11 11s, 10 10s, 9 9s, 8, you know the drill. And so what you're trying to end up with is the most of any given number, compared to everyone else. So if there's 11 11s, you want to have at least, you want to have 5 to be safe. If there's 3 players, you want to have 5. If there's 2 players, you want to have 6 because 6 will be a majority, just in case. So, yeah, it's collecting cards and trying to create these sets that will be the largest of that number in the game at the end of the game. I'll read what it says. Celebrate gift giving and the spirit of Christmas with 12 days. Some of them you give away. A lovely illustrated card game the whole family can enjoy, inspired by the iconic Christmas Carol, The 12 Days of Christmas, and ingrained with familiar play patterns of traditional card games. 12 Days feels like a true holiday classic. Bring joy and good cheer home to your family with 12 Days. Great little card game. I also love it because it's so compact, so easy to get or take around and pull out for a game, even when it's not Christmas, because it's just too pretty to put aside until Christmas. So this is basically set collection. 12 days. 12 days. And that is my number 41. We have now got down all the way to 41. All that's left are my top 40. And I love every single one of the ones that I've just talked about. In fact, actually, I love all the 60 that I've talked about already. The 40 more to go. And what are they? You'll have to come back and see. Until next time, happy gaming and God bless you and your family. Bye.